Returning from a routine ambulance call, driver Tony Rodriguez got caught in a traffic jam on Interstate 95. Nothing was moving. When he got out of the ambulance to understand why, he saw a horrific accident 200 meters ahead. In a three-car chain collision, 8 people were injured, with 1 trapped in their vehicle. Central, this is Rodriguez. Multi-vehicle accident, Interstate 95 mile 47, multiple casualties, immediate response required, he said into the radio. Rodriguez, backup is on the way. Stay at a safe distance, came the reply. But Tony was already leaving the ambulance and running toward the accident scene. And in the next 8 minutes, everyone at the crash site would learn who Tony Rodriguez really was, because those tactical rescue movements and mass casualty organization weren't foreign to him. The way he organized the injured, these weren't things a normal ambulance driver should know how to do. As if he had received completely different training. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we continue with this powerful story, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Tony Rodriguez had been an ambulance driver in Miami-Dade County for 6 years. At 38, he was reliable, always on duty on time, someone you could count on. Together with his paramedic partner Mike Sullivan, they would respond to 10 to 12 calls a day. Tony is one of our best drivers, said dispatch supervisor Janet Chen. Calm, safe, never panics. Patients feel secure with him. But Tony's sense of calmness came from very different places than a normal ambulance driver's experience. His routine in ambulance driving was always the same. The shift would start at 6 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. Heart attacks, traffic accidents, falls at home, standard emergency calls. Tony would act calm and effective in every situation. Mike found Tony's behavior during emergencies different. "Tony, how do you stay so organized during stressful moments?" he would ask. "Experience," Tony would say quietly. "There should be a plan for every situation." This experience came from a 15-year Delta Force career. Tactical rescue operations in special forces, hostage operations, medical evacuation in enemy territory. Tony had conducted operations in the world's most dangerous places. Tony Rodriguez's real story began 21 years ago. He had joined the Army at age 18. Tony had witnessed street violence in Miami during his childhood. While his friends joined gangs, he chose a different path. "I want to maintain order, not create chaos," he had told the military recruiter. After basic training, Tony had received airborne, ranger, then special forces training. He had shown excellent performance both physically and mentally. He had succeeded in the Delta Force selection exams. The Delta Force selection process was the military's toughest training. Psychological evaluation, physical limit tests, tactical skill measurement. Tony had ranked in the top 5% among male candidates. His first assignment was in Afghanistan. Tactical rescue operations, hostage rescue, wounded evacuation from enemy territory. During 4 years of deployment, he had conducted over 60 successful rescue operations. His second assignment was in Iraq. Urban warfare, post-bombing rescues, organization during multiple casualty situations. Tony's specialty was establishing order within chaos and tactical medical evacuation. His third assignment was classified international operations, hostage rescue, embassy evacuation, VIP extraction. Tony's most dangerous and critical missions occurred during this period. Tony's Delta Force training wasn't just about warfare. Tactical rescue, emergency medicine, multiple casualty management, crisis leadership, special skills. "A Delta operator must be a rescue specialist," said Training Commander Lieutenant Colonel Davis. "Combat medic, tactical leader, emergency coordinator, life-saving decisions under pressure." Tony had learned every part of this philosophy: medical evacuation in combat zones, multiple casualty triage, maximum results with limited resources. His medical knowledge was at paramedic level. The most critical training was mass casualty response, bombing attacks, building collapses, multiple injury scenarios. Tony had learned to handle 20 to 30 casualties simultaneously. He had specifically received time-critical rescue training, rescuing maximum people within limited time. These skills would prove very useful in Tony's civilian ambulance work. After 15 years of active duty, Tony had decided to retire. PTSD symptoms, wanting to start a family, desire for peaceful life. He had transitioned to emergency medical services. "Why are you leaving the military?" his Delta commander had asked. "Because I want to do life-saving in peacetime now. Same mission, different battlefield." During EMT training, Tony was overqualified. Advanced medical knowledge, crisis management experience, leadership skills. But the instructors hadn't asked detailed background questions. "I've always wanted to work in emergency services," Tony had said, "to help people in critical moments." Ambulance driving was a perfect transition. The military structure felt familiar to Tony. Emergency response, life-death decisions, precision timing required. When Miami-Dade County Emergency Services hired him, Tony was an exceptional employee. Reliability, professional competence, crisis calmness. But no one knew his extraordinary background. Thursday, November 15th. Tony was on his normal shift. He and Mike had responded to 6 calls: chest pain, car accident, elderly fall, overdose, domestic injury, psychiatric emergency. Routine but important emergency care. The last call was a suspected stroke for an elderly woman in Aventura. It had been a false alarm, an anxiety attack. At 4:30 p.m., they were returning to base from the hospital. "Good day, Tony," said Mike, relaxed. "Early finish, traffic should be light." "Yeah, hopefully a quiet ride back," said Tony. But Tony was always scanning the environment, old habits from military service. When they entered Interstate 95, traffic seemed normal. But at mile 45, suddenly everything stopped, complete traffic jam. The ambulance came to a complete stop. Ahead, cars were completely motionless, engines running but no movement. "What's going on?" asked Mike. "Must be an accident." Tony checked the ambulance radio. No dispatch calls about a major incident in this area. GPS traffic data was loading, but information was limited. "I'll check what's happening," said Tony, parking the ambulance. "Tony, probably just a regular jam. We should wait," said Mike. But Tony was already getting out of the ambulance. Military training habit. Unknown situation equals reconnaissance required. Walking on the road, other drivers were also out of their cars, confusion everywhere. Tony looked for an elevated position to see 200 meters ahead. Tony found elevated ground, a highway overpass ramp. From there, he could clearly see the accident scene. 200 meters ahead, 3-vehicle collision, severe damage. 1 SUV overturned, sedan with crushed front end, pickup truck jackknifed. Multiple people on the ground, some walking confused, others motionless. Tony made an immediate assessment: mass casualty incident, multiple injuries, no emergency response visible yet. Military training automatically activated, threat assessment, casualty evaluation, response planning. He ran back to the ambulance. "Mike, major accident ahead, multiple casualties. We need to respond now." "Tony, we should call dispatch. Wait for official assignment," said Mike, following protocol. "People are dying. We're the closest medical response. We move now." Central, this is Rodriguez Unit 47. Multi-vehicle accident, Interstate 95 mile 47. Multiple casualties visible. Immediate medical response required, Tony reported to the radio. Unit 47, confirm your location. "We have no reports of major incident in that area," came the response. Central, I have visual confirmation. 3 vehicles involved, approximately 8 casualties, some critical. Request immediate backup and additional units. Pause, then. Unit 47, maintain safe distance. Additional units dispatching, ETA 15 minutes. Do not engage until backup arrives. Tony looked at the accident scene. 15 minutes was too long for critical casualties. Some wouldn't survive 15 minutes. "Mike, we're going in," said Tony with determination. "Tony, protocol says wait for backup. This could be dangerous." "Protocol doesn't account for people bleeding out. We have medical supplies. We have training. We move now." Tony carefully approached the accident scene with the ambulance, maneuvering between other cars, activating emergency lights. The accident scene was devastating. Casualty 1, male, 40s, SUV driver, unconscious, head injury, possible internal bleeding. Casualty 2, female, 30s, SUV passenger, conscious, broken arm, lacerations. Casualty 3, elderly male, sedan driver, chest compression injury, difficulty breathing. Casualty 4, teenage boy, sedan passenger, leg fracture, conscious but in shock. Casualty 5, adult male, pickup driver, back injury, conscious but immobilized. Casualty 6, child, 8 years old, pickup passenger, minor injuries but traumatized. Casualty 7, adult female, pickup passenger, unconscious, possible concussion. Casualty 8, injured bystander, minor lacerations from debris. Tony made an automatic triage assessment, Delta Force mass casualty protocols engaging. Tony immediately established command at the accident scene. Military leadership training automatic. Mike, grab critical supplies. I'm establishing triage areas. Tony divided the organized space into 3 zones. Zone 1, critical, immediate life threat casualties. Zone 2, urgent, serious but stable injuries. Zone 3, minor, walking wounded, stable. This organization pattern was exactly the same as Delta Force mass casualty response. "Sir, who are you?" asked a bystander. "Are you a doctor?" EMT. "Stay calm. Help is organized. Move minor injuries to that area," Tony directed with a confident command voice. Tony's movement pattern completely changed. Military tactical medicine mode. Every action precise, calculated, efficient. Mike couldn't believe the transformation. "Tony, how do you know all this organization?" "Experience. We'll discuss later. Critical patient stabilization is priority now." Tony approached the critical casualties. Advanced medical interventions began. SUV driver, Tony performed airway management, spine stabilization, bleeding control. These techniques were much more advanced than basic EMT. Sedan driver, chest injury assessment, possible pneumothorax evaluation, breathing assistance. Tony's medical knowledge was at paramedic level. Pickup passenger, concussion evaluation, neurological assessment, spine immobilization, professional medical competence. Mike watched Tony work. "Where did you learn advanced techniques like this?" Tony paused. Time to reveal a 6-year secret. 12 minutes later, additional ambulances, fire department, and police arrived. They expected chaos, instead found an organized medical operation. "Who's the incident commander here?" asked Fire Captain Martinez. "I established initial triage, organized casualties by priority," said Tony. Captain Martinez was amazed. "This organization is textbook perfect. What's your background?" Tony paused. "Military medical experience." "What kind of military medical?" "Special operations, combat medical evacuation, mass casualty management." Captain Martinez stepped back with respect. "Special ops?" That explains the organization level. Paramedics were amazed by Tony's field medical work. "Driver, you provided advanced trauma care. Where did you train?" "Different places," said Tony quietly. Lead paramedic Supervisor Johnson approached Tony. "Sir, your triage assessment was perfect. Medical interventions advanced. Scene organization professional. You're not a regular EMT." Tony finally decided on honesty. 15 years Delta Force. Tactical rescue specialist. Mass casualty expert. Complete silence. The ambulance driver was actually an elite special forces operator. "Delta Force?" asked Mike in shock. "You were special operations?" "Retired 6 years ago. Now I drive ambulance." Johnson couldn't process it. "Why ambulance driving? You could be a paramedic supervisor, emergency coordinator. Same mission, different uniform. Save lives, serve community." The hospital emergency department was impressed by the quality of Tony's field care. "EMT, pre-hospital care was exceptional. Advanced trauma stabilization perfect," said Dr. Patricia Lopez. "Thank you. Team effort," said Tony humbly. "Team effort? You single-handedly organized an 8-casualty incident. What's your medical background?" Mike answered. "He's former Delta Force, combat medical specialist." Dr. Lopez was amazed. "Special operations medical? That explains the clinical competence level. All 8 casualties survived. Perfect medical outcomes thanks to Tony's immediate professional intervention." Tony's partnership with Mike evolved. Now, understanding Tony's background, their work relationship deepened. Tony, I understand your calmness now. Military training explains everything. Mike, military taught me techniques. Partnership with you taught me civilian emergency medicine. Both are important. Will you continue ambulance driving? Yes, but also training programs. Share knowledge with the emergency services community. Tony found balance, direct patient service plus knowledge transfer to the new generation. Tony's story isn't just about heroism. It's about the continuity of service spirit, the peaceful application of expertise. From Delta Force to ambulance service, from combat medical to civilian emergency care, from tactical rescue to community service, always serving. Military taught me tactical medicine. Civilian service taught me community care. Both are essential for complete service. When highway accident survivors see Tony, they say, "Real warriors don't stop serving. They find new ways to serve." Tony's courage that day was the civilian application of Delta Force training, military expertise applied in highway emergency. I'm no longer a soldier, but the service spirit never ends. Mission continues, location changes. The community will understand in the future. Protection takes many forms. So I ask you, have you ever met veterans quietly serving in your emergency services community? Hidden military backgrounds quietly contributing to civilian emergency care? Share in the comments. Because at Hidden Legends, we believe the greatest protectors often serve in the most critical moments. If this story moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these important veteran stories continue. We'll see you in the next legend. And remember, next time you see an ambulance, fire truck, or emergency vehicle, they might have military service background you never knew about. Real heroes change the forms of service, but the protection spirit never ends.